Okay, good morning and welcome to Mishna Yomi, Maseches Kilayim, Perik Dal, the fourth Perik, Mishna Zayin and Ches, number 7 and number 8. Mishna Zayin, Notea Shura Achas Pesach Shalo, Shura Achas Pesach Shal Chaver. He plants one row of vines in his own yard, and one row of vines. He's planting it, but he plants in his friend's yard. Derech Hayachiv, Derech Harabim be'emsa. Now, separating the two fields is either a private path or even a public path. Separating the two of V'geder shehunamuch me'asar tvachim. Alternatively, or even if there's a path and there's a fence, but the fence is less than 10 tvachim, hareilim and starfos. These two shuros, these two rows of a vineyard, we mentioned previously yesterday, in order to make a vineyard, you don't have to have a full sadeh, but you have to have two rows of vineyards. Maybe two rows of three or two rows of two, and one yotze zanav, one coming out like as a tail. They have to be together, so to speak. So as long as Ravadia Bar Tanura says there's less than 8 amos, he says that Derech Harabim is less than 8 amos. If there was 8 amos between them, it would separate them. Until Ziontu says it's a steer on the Rambam. The Rambam here, the Rambam in the Parish of Mishnah, the Rambam actually says 16 amos. It's called Derech Harabim. Less than 16 amos. If there's 16 amos, it would separate them. If it's less than 16 amos, then it would be together. So that's a discussion of itself. The Rambam here says 16 amos in his parashim, in his Mishnah Torah. He says Perak Zayin and Hilchos Kilayim. He says 8 amos, like Ravadia Bar Tanura. Whatever the halacha is, whatever the separation is, if it's less than that, it's considered one vineyard, and therefore it has the din of a vineyard. And you have to, if you want to plant something else, you have to marchik dalat amos. You have to separate 4 amos and plant something else, as opposed to 6 tvachim. And also, you can't plant something in the middle because it's one vineyard. Gavoa mesar tvachim. If the fence is 10 or tvachim or more higher, einam and starfos, then even if there's no derech between them, it divides it, and it's not one vineyard. And you don't have to distance to 4 amos to plant something else. Rehuda says, even if the fence is 10 tvachim or more tall, if the vines hang over the fence and mix with each other, so therefore it's considered to be one kerem. This is the opinion of Rehuda. We don't pass like that. Mishna Ches Anotea Shtei Shuros. Let's say you plant 2 rows of vines, which would normally make it a vineyard. Ein beinayim shmona amos lo yavi zera l'sham. If there's not a distance, like we said before, of 8 amos, you can't bring anything else there, right? You have to mark the amos, and you can't plant anything in the middle. Hayu shalosh mein bein shur lechaverta sheshisrei ama lo yavi zera l'sham. If there were 3 rows, then it's a vineyard, right? So you have to. It already classifies as a complete vineyard. So therefore, you need 16. You want to plant in between these rows, you have to have a karachas akaron, like we learned earlier in Mishnah. You have to have a bald spot, which is 16 amos by 16 amos, separation between the rows to plant something else over there. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov Omer, Mishum Chanina ben Chachina, Afilu Charvahem Soy. Let's say you had 3 rows. Each of them was divided by 8 amos, and the middle one eroded. It's no longer there. Ve'ein ben shur l'chaverta shishrei ama. L'yavi zera l'sham. Even he says once it establishes a din as a kerem, it takes on a status of a vineyard by having those 3 rows. So it's for sure a vineyard. So therefore, even if the middle one goes away, so now you normally say if you have 2 rows, right? So if there's a space of 8 amos between them, it doesn't join the 2 rows together. It's not a vineyard at all. So maybe you'd say it's not a vineyard at all. No, he says once it already establishes a kerem, even if now there's 8 amos between, there's more than amos between. It's still, in order to divide them, we need karachas akarim. You need 16 amos in order to plant something else, not 8 amos. That's the Mishnah Yomi for today. We're going to discuss a little bit of a din that ein adam ozer davar sheino shalo. Talks about in the first Mishnah, Mishnah Zayin, and even with Ben Sion, even in the Mishnayos. It seems to be a machlokes. One row belongs to you, one row belongs to your friend. Is that called Adam Oser Davar Sheino Shalo or not? We'll talk about that. See you there.